Hi, I'm glad you joined us for Wednesday prayer. I'm thinking about what it means to be fed by the Holy. And so one of the thoughts that popped into my head is the story from Mark 8. It's the second feeding of crowds of people. And in this story, Jesus has crossed over. He has crossed a boundary, gone to the other side of the lake, and is with people who are the neighbors, who are the enemies, who are outside of the people that of his ethnicity. And he's with them, sharing the gospel, telling the stories of God's kingdom, and healing, bringing wholeness to those in need of his presence. And when he notices the crowds and sees that they're hungry, he has compassion for them. And so he asks the disciples to feed them, and the disciples say, "How can we do that?" They have literally, like a few chapters before this, just seen Jesus feed a crowd of the same size. And so Jesus again takes some fish and some bread and breaks it and blesses it, and they share it, and everyone is full. They're fed. It doesn't matter what side of the border they're on. It doesn't matter what religion they are fed. And so I invite you to close your eyes and think about the people that you are drawn to have compassion for, the people that you've seen that need to be fed. Holy One, teach us to have compassion. Compassion for those who are hungry. We think about the stories in our lives that we have seen. I'm moved to tears by the story of the 13-year-old boy in Gaza who is left to take care of his 6 or 7 siblings, one of whom is just 6 months old, and he searches daily for food. He tries to feed his little sister with formula and tells how his mom would get her so she wouldn't cry. And yet we see those images of trucks upon trucks, miles of trucks with food that are not allowed to feed those who are hungry. God, teach us to have compassion. And we think about the people at our own border, the churches and NGOs that work daily to feed the people at the border, to shelter them and clothe them and find them a safe place to land. God, teach us to have compassion. And we think about here in our own lives, as we drive to church, as we drive to school, as we play in the park or go to the grocery store, and we pass by those who don't have a place, a shelter to live in, who struggle for their next meal. God, open our hearts to have compassion. God, there are so many in this world who are struggling for their next meal, who worry about how they will eat, where they will find food, if there is enough to feed everyone. God, teach us to have compassion. And we ask that your will be done